Really getting so desperate. I have people knocking on my door all the time, wanting to sell me something or mow the yard or whatever. You know, the best thing you can tell them, it's brilliant. It's like, oh, I'm just a renter here. That's taken care of by the landlord. Uh, Backyard neighbor wanted me to see about taking care of the tree that's partially hanging in his yard. I don't know. I'll have to talk to the landlord about that. I'm just a renter. Solves a lot of problems. Man, it's just, things are getting so obvious. A lot of people think things are getting worse, but they're actually getting a whole lot more obvious. Thought about doing a lecture on field theory and natural order from the simplicity of Pythagoreanism, which is kind of silly. I mean, what's truth is truth. It's not Pythagorean, it's not Platonic. To say Neoplatonic is about as silly as saying, well, I'm a follower of Neo-Christianity. What? Well, not the original version, the new version. It's just kind of silly. There's truth, and then there's lies. All truth, of course, must fall in line with natural order. And people like to convolute things, and nature is a whole lot more simple. You know, the simplicity of natural order, the universe, the binary or conjugate substrate of the entire cosmos. Basically, you know, the yin and yang symbol is just one symbol. Like the good in principle, the good in attribute, light and illumination. Light is the principle, illumination is the attribute. Wisdom and ignorance, pre-embodiment, is a reference to light, but they just mean light and illumination, vidya and avidya, gnosis and agnosis. People don't understand this. Of course, none of this stuff was actually taught in school. I actually spent a lot of time thinking about this and uncovering the secrets, and I'm really good at it, uncovering the secrets lost in these ancient texts. Have you ever rested so much because you're totally unrested that when you woke up feeling rested, felt totally out of sorts? I actually got some good rest last night. I feel so rested. I was like, this is a really weird feeling. I never get any rest. So I find it excruciatingly nauseating, unfortunately. There's a guy talking about this. He said, you know, dudes will get together and they'll know the names of all the baseball players on so-and-so team, and you know, they'll high-five each other and go out for some suds. But none of these people, including none of you, meaning 99.9%, you know, don't know the names of any of the people that get together in Baden-Baden and other places, I'm not going to mention these groups, to decide the fate of billions of people. Me and you, to them, are the useless eaters. When you actually understand the narrative, and most people, they don't see the narrative. You see, and of course, everything on the media is a total lie or an obfuscation. Every one of the channels, everything online, so-called news sources, it's a lie. You know, they're trying to divide and conquer everybody. And they'll ask the questions like, I don't know why the the government is doing this stuff. It just doesn't make any sense. I've heard that probably, and so have you, a million times. Why are they doing this? This doesn't make any sense. If you understand what the agenda is and the ultimate goal, it becomes really clear. It becomes extremely clear. All of this is hyperlogical if you understand, you know, the impulses and motives of people that are evil and that want power, which of course is a total illusion and totally against natural order. These people don't even control themselves, much less control others. By the way, we have 23 days to selection. I'm going to use the word, I'm going to stick an S in front of it. We have 23 days until that happens. And of course, this is what I like to call the illusion of choice. Both sides, and they've been doing this for ages, of course, are stoking division to divide the people, of course, against each other, rather than against tyranny. They're one of about 5 possible sources, if not more than one. Even Hillary mentioned this a few weeks ago. You could type in her name and type in October Surprise. I'm no less than 100% certain that we have less than 3 weeks to an October surprise, and every indication actually says that there is. I would be extremely shocked, I mean extremely shocked, if this didn't actually come to pass. I have been scurrying my little tushy. You know? I mean, it's the reason why I'm so tired all the time, especially recently. I eat healthy now, I'm losing weight, not losing enough weight, but I'm still losing weight. You know, I've been scurrying to make moves. I mean, even my dad, who's not a prepper, yesterday bought a buck stove, a wood stove, to install in the house. Now, I have gas heating, but most people have electric heating. You know what happens when you shut the grid down? You know what happens to a wood-burning stove when you shut the grid down, especially in the middle of winter? Nothing happens. It would affect the blower, which is plug in for electricity, but you don't actually need a blower. You know, people with wood stoves, they didn't have blowers on them, so you don't actually need that. The neat little things, by the way, and I have them at my cabins. I got 2 cabins, by the way. Are these little heat-powered fans, and they even oscillate. My favorite one's the one that oscillates. It's powered by the heat from the top of the stove. You know what happens when the grid goes down to wood stove? Nothing. So he bought a wood-burning stove. You know, I wouldn't call him a prepper. He's got his eyes opening to see what's actually coming. So I would be extremely shocked if this didn't come to pass. Natural order, unfortunately, is ignored by evil men, and it's mostly men. I've been railing against atomism and quantum, that women very clearly see natural order where men don't. You know, all these crusty atomistic books of nonsense and relativity, they're all by, you know, crusty, myopic old dudes that can't see natural order. You know, the universe can't work that way. And the same is true when you let the weeds grow up in your yard and you don't take care of it. See, these evil men wanting to glorify themselves and heap power around. What are they going to heap power around? They can't take it with them. You know, are they going to heap it around the meat suit, the psychophysical persona of flesh? Now, this is inherently evil. There is such a loss of understanding and even low-level intelligence due to brainwashing at the public school level. Public school, and when I say public school, I mean indoctrination, that people can't see what is blatantly obvious. I mean, it just makes me actually physically ill. I just see it. You go out to the grocery store or go somewhere, it's just so evil. This is what happens when people don't tend to their garden. You know, they let the weeds and the other things spread. Also, to these entities, and this is very unfortunate, my grandfather was a colonel in the Army, and my other grandfather, I don't need to get into that. I mean, they're demonizing people that believe. Think of just how evil this is and how, you know, fundamentally, oh God, there goes the lava lamp. To demonize people that believe in inalienable rights and freedoms. Like, you know, I have my own freedom to decide what my life is going to be and what it's not going to be. Other than limited by physical problems or intellectual issues, people have their own rights and freedoms. You know, especially these people, including mine, whose forefathers gave absolutely everything for those freedoms. And to deny that of people can only be dammed up for so long. I mean, it is inherently evil. All of the things that you weren't taught in school and the things that I wished I were taught in school. Of course, I knew fundamentally, even at a super young age, that school was evil and propaganda and nothing but lies. You know, they got like a page and a half dedicated to Einstein, and they got like a half a paragraph dedicated to Nikola Tesla. That kind of tells you everything. That's everything in a brief synopsis. They didn't tell us any of these things. I'm not a pessimist, actually, but to state what's going on is not pessimism. This country, as well as countless others, are on the road to Hades. It's getting too expensive to even buy decent food, and that's really horrific. When people are drinking Coca-Cola and Beanie Weenies and Chef Boyardee. Remember those days you'd open up a can of that filth, it was like dog food, and you'd turn it upside down and plop, fall out of the can? I had a really poor growing up. It's called Underwood ham. It looks exactly like cat food, and it told you how evil it was. You can look it up. I think it's got still the same label on it. It had a white label around it, and it had a devil with a pitchfork. So you're eating this super evil stuff that's got a devil on the label, and you open up the can, and it looked like cat food. You know, I was fed that stuff, which, you know, it's just getting too hard to live. I see it out there, and so do you. I mean, I was even on the phone today with a guy telling me how impossible it is to get anybody to do their job. It's just become impossible. The narrative is falling apart. You know, the cracks, the fissures are getting wider and wider. I beg you to prepare yourself for what's coming down the pike. Of course, our taxes and our property taxes are used to go to the school system if you look at your property tax bill. So your money goes to the school system, which is used to brainwash your own children into believing the narrative, the lies, and the propaganda. We're told to buy stuff with our money, that we work so hard and buy things, rather than, nobody's taught in school or college, like, hey, you know, instead of buying stuff, you know, ooh, look at that flashy thing, I'm going to buy that, and I'm going to buy this and buy that, you know. Instead of actually investing it in something that could work for us. And people don't think like that. It's a principle of psychological delayed gratification that people unfortunately do not have. Most people don't. You weren't taught that stuff in school. You weren't taught the super important thing about belief systems versus truth. You know, you are not that which you believe in. By the way, I say today, but it was really yesterday, the 12th, NATO had a meeting to allow Ukraine to use kinetics to be launched deep into Mother Russia. And Russian president, just like a day and a half ago, at 3:30 a.m. Moscow time, he actually gave it in the middle of the night, 3:30 a.m. Moscow local time. So the world is facing a fatal and irreversible turning point. The fact that NATO has allowed this to happen, I mean, everybody's eyes should be wide open on this. Also, too, NATO is doing preparedness drills. The preparedness drills they're doing involves plutonium and uranium, those kind of preparedness drills. Everything just keeps getting deeper and deeper and closer to the precipice, and that is no form of fear. I can't stand fear-mongering. I'm not interested in that at all. By the way, the surplus store here locally, which is huge, the MREs, they're boxes that hold 14 meals. They're not very good, you know, but they last 15 plus years. 2 weeks worth of food for one person. They're just flying out the door, the MREs are. People, young people even, people in, you know, 15 to 24 years old are coming in and buying survival gear. I think, you know, every generation is always complaining about the younger generation. I'm not complaining about them, but they can see what is so blatantly obvious. It's actually becoming so obvious, and everybody's lost the narrative, that they're going to have to pull a surprise out of their hats, the entities that be. I don't want to mention the 5 things that involve an October surprise. You could probably know at least 3 of them. I'm not interested in speculating which one, or probably actually more than one, are going to happen before November the 4th. And of course, this is only one country in the world. But this one country actually controls the narrative of a lot of other entities, even if you know, can't stand this country, you know, which I don't care one way or another. You admit the fact that, you know, the U.S. dollar and what's propping it up, you know, that the legs that hold up that bridge are nearly falling apart. And there's only one way to reset. There's truly 2 ways to reset it. One way is extremely difficult, and you can't get enough people to comply, and the other way is extremely kinetic. Extremely kinetic. You should ask yourself why NATO is doing these high-level emergency drills. Well, they're always doing drills. Not like this, they're not. Dan Bongino, former Secret Service guy, he's a very smart guy. he was actually pleading with people like 48 hours ago, just begging people to get supplies, just begging people to get supplies. I do the same. I actually beg you to prepare yourself. By the way, I can't even mention this. You'll have to look it up. It's called Department of Defense Directive 5240.01. Type that in. DoD Directive 5240.01 came into effect the end of September on the 27th. Expands the authority of the military to assist in domestic LEO activities, that's law enforcement organization activities, and exercise the use of, I'm not going to say it, you see me dragging my finger across my throat. Go look that up. Go look up DoD Directive 5240.01 that went into effect just a few days ago. This should fundamentally be unconstitutional relative to posse comitatus. I don't know if you know what posse comitatus is. It means, you can't send the jackbooted entities in camouflage out to the urban areas of your own country. It should be illegal relative to that, but a lot of things that are established law are trying to be destroyed. The things that were established to set up freedoms for your average everyday citizen, especially these people who they themselves gave everything, and or their fathers and grandfathers gave every last measure of that which they are for these freedoms, are being destroyed at a rate that's, you just keep, these entities that keep saying recently, John Kerry and Hillary, oh, you need to get rid of the First Amendment. That's a big roadblock in our agenda. All the people out there, and I see them everywhere, including in comments, including in the news. Why are they doing this? This doesn't make any sense. So it makes perfect sense. If you understand the mind of evil and that thing that wants to heap up power upon itself, it's kind of like, want to build a roaring fire. I'm going to put 30 logs in the fireplace. It's going to roar so hot. It's like, yeah, but not only will that fizzle out, but you're going to be consumed, by that roaring fire. And they don't get that. They're evil, and evil doesn't follow natural order. It wants to destroy it, supplant it, but that's impossible. That's like spitting at the moon. You could do it all you want. You're not going to accomplish anything. But in their minds, they think they are. And the same people that meet in Baden-Baden, I'm only going to use the word meeting in Baden-Baden. There's actually several entities, groups. And they get together and they discuss the useless eaters and the sheep or the chattel, you and me. All of this keeps ramping up towards one directive. If you know what that one directive is, then all of this, this is to be expected. When people are educated, you're not like the French baker who's sitting there, mixing the ingredients in his cake in the middle of Paris while the German tanks are rolling 3 blocks away. La-di-da, make me a cake. It's like, everybody's like, why is everybody, look out on the street, everybody gone? Where everybody go? They're gone because the tanks are 3 blocks away, rolling down. There's so much of a percentage of this world that is that way. Just think about that. The obliviousness. And the NPC, everybody keeps calling them NPC, non-playing characters. Well, they're worse than that. And NPCs are fine. It's, what's going on? Oh, God. I'm going to do my Gomer Pyle accent here. Well, Shazam, what's going on? No, these are the people that will hold you down while the evil, has its way with altering your life and making it infinitely worse. NPCs? No. A lot of the people that you think are NPCs, only about 1/3 of them or 1/4 of them are NPCs, non-playing characters. The rest of them are the ones, call them brown shirts if you want. Those are the ones that will hold you down. Back in the late 1930s, the Deutsche people could have, presented a finger, I'll let you guess which one, to the spreading evil. Which is more evil, the super evil person, a very small collective of a handful of people? Which more evil, that the handful of people that embrace evil and despise natural order, or the millions of throngs that pay homage to it? This is idolatry, except it's the false idolatry of the roaring fire of consumption of everything that is beautiful and pure in the world. Let people go about their natural order. And by the way, I keep mentioning this, and nobody seems to understand this, and it's really important. The only reason why we have laws and the police and the military, not the only reason, not from the perspective of evil people, law, police, on and on, is to keep evil and ignorant people in check. If everybody was even moderately wise, we would have no need whatsoever of laws or police. We would never have any need of that. But that's never going to happen. You got less than 1/100th of 1% that have that. There are people that actually fear to do bad things because they're afraid they're going to get caught. There are other people that that's wrong. There's a giant wad of cash sitting right here on this person's yard. There's nobody around. I could just reach down there and grab. No, they don't do it. It's not mine. It belongs to this person. They shouldn't have it in the front yard. This is why we have these things in place, is to keep evil and ignorant people in check. I've been talking about this now, unfortunately, for years, but the only reason I keep talking about it is because it keeps ramping up. And there are a lot of people like, nothing's going to happen. It's happening so slowly. It's like the frog in the pot. You're going to keep turning it up really slowly. The frog's never going to know. Just every few hours, I'll turn it up a degree and another, maybe a few degrees this time. So we got 23 days left. I know this only applies to the United States, but there is going to be some form of October surprise. And once again, I would be extremely shocked if it didn't actually come to pass. Extremely. This is what public schools have done to people. I didn't know it in Germany and probably many other countries. You are not allowed to homeschool your kids. Did you know that? Good old Deutschland. You're not allowed to homeschool your kids. Teach them natural order and, good things. You're taught to be subservient and obey. 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 You're taught that the state is your third parent and your most important parent. Well, you got your folks at home. They brought you into this world, but we are your true parent. We are the third parent and the most important parent. We preside over all. We take care of, and by take care of, your birth parents, but we're going to take care of you the same way we took care of them, which means to turn you into either, a drone, an obedient follower, somebody that follows the narrative, somebody that is never going to be taught how to think for themselves. It just makes me ill. The stuff I see all these people, and I went to college for many years, outside the University of Kentucky, just same as every other college. These people working so hard to be brainwashed by people that haven't got a clue. How dare you? I'm a professor at college. I have tenure. I'm a 20-year professor with a PhD in nonsensology. I have my head on a swivel. I can see what's going on out there. I see people that are losing it. I can see the cracks are so visible. People that go to the grocery store, they get a tiny bag of nothing and it's $60. These are people that have a house payment, a car payment, a wife and or a few kids, or one kid even. Let's just say one kid. They're not making it. There's going to come a point very, very soon when the narrative's going to crack so far open and they won't have Band-Aids big enough to patch it, where they're going to pull that giant surprise, or multiple surprises, out of their little goodie bag which inside of their goodie bag it says property of evil ink. You're going to pull the goodies out of their goodie bag, and then people are really going to be shocked. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, with absolutely zero wavering of any fault, that that is coming. Question is, are you ready for that? There's a lot of people down in Florida that weren't prepared. It's like, I still don't have power 10 days later. It's like, well, you're living in a decent valued house. Somebody with that much money. You know, you don't have solar or battery backups. You know, what's, you know, you don't have a gasoline generator. I mean, why? You don't have water filtration. It blows my mind. Even more important than emergency backup for electricity is having water filtration. Almost nobody talks about it. I mean, the people that actually have a brain on their head, I mean, a head on their shoulder, excuse me, they will talk about it, but 98% of them won't. So prepare yourself, because there's absolutely zero ifs, ands, or buts that it's coming. Absolutely zero. And by God, no one will be happier if by November the 6th, November the 5th, we haven't had a surprise. Nobody would be happier than me. But even if that doesn't happen by then, everything is still being put into place. Because the useless eaters, the sheeple, you know, they must be dealt with. From their perspective, not meaning me. You know, these people have to be dealt with. We can't put up with this anymore. It's got to go. Even the dumbest person alive is going to be able to see, well, it's just total nonsense. I could see it from myself. Remember that old saying, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? You know, you see it everywhere, but everything you see is just false. That's not going on. What you see happening all around you, that's not going on. No. You really have to be extremely not smart to fall. Yeah, okay, I can see it with my own eyes, but if you say it isn't happening, it's not happening. Golly! I'll catch you a live stream tonight. If you ever want to contact me, my information is in the email below. Any donations always warmly welcome. Don't worry, the next video will be about field theory and metaphysics and stuff. Some people don't like these videos, but a lot of people do. And I read every comment. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Hey, the lava lamp, it's finally going.